There was a point in the stream where you had asked me like kind of what the deal was with Third Strike, and I felt like I remember we had a pretty good conversation where like the key thing that I had to explain is I do I have mixed feelings about Third Strike, and a lot of the mixed feelings about Third Strike I have because I wanted to keep on playing CVS2 back in the day. I wanted to play more
Mm.
CVS2. I couldn't find people to play CVS2 with, so I had to play Third Strike. Um, and reflecting on that a little bit, one, it's funny because Third Strike is kind of universally held in a generally shared sense of reverence, especially from people who weren't there for it. Right? If you weren't there for the rise of the Third Strike scene, especially in North America, then you probably look at it and you're like, "Wow, that game looks so cool." People probably it looks like they had a lot of fun playing it. It's got to be one of the greats. And so to see me, we'll go ahead and liberally call me an expert in fighting games. Shit on Third Strike pretty much every chance I get has got to be kind of confusing to some people, right? And so I hope that that when we were talking about it last week, that gave it a certain amount of context. Historically, I do hate Third Strike, but now I have no problem with Third Strike. I think Third Strike is a cool game. I play it every now and then of my own free will. There are neat things that it does as a game, which I think set it apart and honestly make it a very significant overall contribution to the genre as a whole. Um, but the feelings of fuck this game, I'd rather be playing another game, but I can't because the only people I can find to play fighting games with are playing Third Strike is very real. And I wanted to bring that up again because this is to me, when I was thinking about it, I realized this is to me why Vortex Gallery is important. Why I have so much love for everyone who hosts tournaments for older games. Why Rev Tuesday is so important to me. Why Rollback Update for Plus R is huge, right? And why I love doing some of these streams with you and the games with B, where we go through a bunch of old video games like this. It's because uh, actually, Guilty Gear Strive is a good comparison point here, right? I play Strive for like a
Yeah, I was
couple
gonna
hours a week.
say.
Yeah, I play Strive for a couple hours a week, and I don't hate it, but I don't really like it. I play it for a bunch of different reasons. One is just to kind of stay current on the game, see what it's like, see if I was wrong about any of my initial evaluations, that kind of stuff. Like, there's a certain amount of like professional obligation for me to keep on playing this game and keep on kind of digging into it. But I'm not digging into it too hard. Um, and the reason that I feel like I can play it and kind of keep a comfortable distance, right? I'm not going all in because I don't think the game deserves that, at least not for me. But I don't hate it. I don't really resent it, and it's because I am able to continue playing Rev 2 and Plus R because there are still communities for that game, those games. There is still a viable way to play netplay. There are still local scenes that I can tap into, right? And so
Hmm.
the when I look at Guilty Gear Strive, yeah, it's taken some players away, and now when people talk about Guilty Gear and they don't specify the version, they're talking about Strive, which is really annoying. But at the very core, I can still play the game I want to play. Where in previous generations of fighting games, like
Hmm.
if you think about the Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 transition, there were a lot of Street Fighter 4 players that probably wanted to keep on playing Street Fighter 4 but felt like they had to switch. And that's why it is so
Yeah.
important to me that the fighting game community is able to preserve its history in an active format like this, right? Like it's not enough to just make sure the game is active. If you love the game, rep the game. Make it easy for other people to play the game with you and with other people who want to play the game because that way they can play what they want instead of just shitting on the new stuff that comes out that they're playing pretty much by obligation, right? When Street Fighter V first came out, there were a lot of the joke was that Japanese pro players called it Giri Fighter, which is like obligatory fighter. They're playing it because they have to, not because they want to, right? Those are the pros. I have less sympathy for the pros because that's your job. I mean, obviously, it sucks if your job is to play a game that you hate. But there are other jobs out there, and if you want to try and get a job playing the game you love, like, you can go ahead and try and do that, right? But for the rest of us, the folks who are just trying to play the games we love, like, it sucks when some new shit comes out, you hate it, but you can't find people to play the old shit. So thank you, AV. Thank you for giving me an excuse to shit about Third Strike in context one more time, but also to make it clear for everyone who's watching the stream and everyone who plays old fighting games in general, like, this shit is beautiful. It's part of our history, and the more we can support the games, the old games that people love, the less you'll have to deal with old people playing games they hate and shitting on them all the time, because no one wants to deal with that. Right? Every time I play Strive and my in-game name is See Me in Rev 2, and it always gets comments. And half the comments are, I bet that motherfucker's Pat the Flip, which, you know, is effective personal branding. But like, and I do it as a joke, but if I couldn't find people to play with in Rev 2, I would be playing Strive with a lot more spite in my heart than I currently am. So yeah, that's what's up. I don't know if there's an like what the equivalent experience would be in other video game genres, right? Maybe moving on from an MMO or something. But for me, it was pretty good to be able to kind of connect these dots, you know, kind of figure out why I felt so strongly about this.